everyone. It's Colleen Gallagher with Colleen Gallagher International, an online coaching education company where my passion, I shouldn't say my passion, my services include supporting specifically men, but I do have women clients as well in improving their relationships in every area of their life. Hey, Carla. How are you? And specifically, I really support men in, hey, Dawn, how are you? I support men in really improving their emotional state and the emotional part of their relationships and also their career. And so men usually come to me, women usually come to me. I say usually the wounded masculine, people that have created a lot of success, but their relationships are a mess. You usually come to me and you're looking for support on how to make your relationships happy, how to make your life flourish, how to make your life happy, how to make it all happen. So anyway, when you join, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Hello. And if you're on the replay, obviously say hashtag replay, because if you don't say hello, I don't know you're joining, and that makes me sad because I do believe in these platforms as a tool of connectivity. And Jay Parson, what is your first name? Because I know on the usernames, you guys, on Instagram, when you guys don't have your first name, I always want to say hi, but if it doesn't say your name, I can't say it. It makes me mad. So we have Jay Parson, we have Dawn, who's in Idaho. Oh my God, that's one of the 10 states I have not been to. I've been to like 40 of them, and Idaho is on my list. So that's amazing. I'm happy that you're here. And today we have something really exciting. Jack. All right, Jack. Now I know. Thank you, Jack, for letting me know your name and sharing yourself. And on Facebook, we have 3 of you watching on Facebook that would like you to write in the comments who you are and where you're tuning in from. So today we have something really exciting that I'm so thrilled and fucking pumped to talk about and communicate about, which is the Colleen Gallagher Podcast. This is a podcast, it's a mic, is 3 years old today. On March 13th, we are 3 years old, which is so exciting. If you have not listened to my podcast, I highly recommend you go and listen. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google, it's on Stitcher, it's on iHeartRadio, it's on every platform you can imagine. We are 3 years old. My baby, my podcast, I should hold this, is 3 years old. It's just so exciting. And we have 125 episodes if you've never listened to them. And as I shared, majority of our episodes, my whole branding is around creating a life that you love. But I would really say my 3 product lines that I focus on. Have a good live. Yay! Okay, well, Jack, we hope that you come back, and you're welcome back anytime, Jack, and you can watch the replay. But the 3 main things that we talk about in my podcast would be 1, health and wellness. So for those of you who don't know, I just did a beautiful post about it. I had cancer at age 14, and from having cancer at a really young age, I was exposed to, I guess, a lot of the health challenges that we can experience when being given a diagnosis that forever changes our life, the longevity of what can happen for us. And that's it's just reason why I'm here is because I really healed outside of Western medicine. I healed my body from the inside out. I become more beautiful as I get older because I healed my body. I understand reverse aging from being your best self, living your authentic truth, living into your purpose. Health and wellness was such an influence and activator in my life of destiny, of enlightenment, of purpose, of creating money, doing what you love. So that is the number one reason I would say my brand began, right? It's here. And I want to make sure on Instagram you guys can see my book. So we talk about that. The second thing we talk about a lot in my relationship, or a lot on my podcast, which is the number one passion in my business right now, is relationships. So I talk a lot about understanding relationship nuances, especially as it comes to non-monogamy. So I'm not a polyamorous person. I don't really speak on that because I don't know what it's like to have multiple serious partners at one time. But I do believe in deep partnership. So having one intimate partner that you're growing a life with, yet you guys have an open relationship. So you have other experiences with other people together or maybe on your own, and figuring out what's right for you. As I'm someone who's traveled as a young woman, 29, all over the world on my own, never with a man. I, did it by myself. I've grown my business by myself. There's been no man to support me in the back end. I've had crazy shit that's gone down when I've had to figure it out as a woman. And I know what that's like. So these relationships that I talk about, and I've also built really deep, intimate, connected relationships because I've been on my own for so long, that don't look like the way that we've been taught in Disney movies, or the way that maybe our parents showed us, or the way that maybe even television is showing us. So a lot of my relationship, I talk about, our podcast, I talk about, how to grow relationships in a way that's right for you, because I do believe in sustainable relationships. I believe in longevity of relationships. I believe in having principle in relationship, of honesty, of truth, of beauty, of cultivating something long-term, because there's such beauty in being committed to someone over an extended period of time, but I don't believe it's in the way that we've been taught. So that's a lot of this podcast, relationships. The third part that I really talk about, so we have health and wellness, or healing, you can call it. We have relationships. And the third part that I really talk about a lot in this is digital marketing and sales. So I talk a lot about how do you begin to look at your life as what you can leverage your life experience for, your life story as. What can you do so that it is leveraged in a way for you to offer a service or product that you can sell, so you are in control of your financial freedom. I don't know if you just saw what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, which is really interesting. We haven't seen something like that happen since the Great Depression. If you haven't, I would highly recommend looking it up. Silicon Valley Bank after this. I think the government's going to have a big buyout this week for them, depending on what happens today with them. So I would really... what I share in my podcast, which is 3 years old, is digital marketing and sales. How do you begin to look at your life experience, then create a product or service, a marketing story, so that you can share it and you can leverage it through technology. So you have freedom to live where you want, play where you want, breathe where you want. You have freedom to be yourself. Second is that you always know how to make income for yourself, no matter what. It's really important, especially because I have a large audience of men, whether we like it or not. Men, you need to know how to provide. You need to know how to provide for your family. You need to know how to be a provider, especially during a time of pregnancy or children. That's very important. So I talk a lot about digital marketing and sales. How do you know how to make your own money no matter what's going on in this world? We can pretend there's a recession or a depression or whatever, but how do you know how to make your own money to offer value? And so this podcast that I've had, the Colleen Gallagher Podcast, for 3 years, these are the topics we go around, all supporting you in creating a life that you love. Now, the stats that I'm so excited to share with you guys, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys, is that we have reached 71 countries in 3 years. This has been downloaded in 71 countries. We have 1,400 cities. I thought it was 1,200. 1,400 cities across the globe. We have over 10,200 downloads on the Colleen Gallagher Podcast, and we have 54 reviews. Like, it is just a product of mine I'm so proud of. It is totally free. So it's educational content that is free. It's educational content that supports you in creating a life that you love. These are real-time stories, real-time things. I started this freaking podcast when I went through an abortion. It was about 4 months after I'd experienced the most painful experience. Not only that, but also letting go of a relationship I deeply loved and I deeply admired. So anyway, I really am just proud of this, and I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk about it because you have not downloaded the Colleen Gallagher Podcast. If you've not gone to it, I highly recommend. And I think it's easy to look at my business and go, oh, she charges for her time or her money, but I have 125 episodes. I don't even know how many hours that is of free content, not including my YouTube, not including my Facebook, that you can go on, you can consume, that will support you in your relationships, that will support you in your money, and that will support you in your wellness. And so I wanted to come on and I wanted to celebrate all of you who have listened, all of you who have downloaded, all of you who have tuned in, because it just is like the what do you call this? The product that I am so emotionally connected to because of how much effort has gone into it consistently over a period of time. I did 2 years out of the 3 years where I did an episode every week. I gave so much commitment and so much time and so much love. And this is what it takes to build a life you love. It takes commitment. It takes time. It takes discipline. So anyway, I wanted to come on and I wanted to share. If you have not listened, obviously go and listen. And I want to see what Don said here. It's funny that you say you do everything independently, but now you're talking about how men have to have value, kind of a double standard estimate. So there's a context there, Dawn. So I was saying, this is a good point. I was saying that in my life journey, right, I made a decision and choice, which I don't think there's, hey, Robert, how are you? We're celebrating the Colleen Gallagher podcast being 3 years old. I'm so happy Robert joined. Miss Jordan has joined. Jordan, the podcast is 3 years old. I miss you. 71 countries, 1,400 cities, 10,200 downloads. Like, you guys, it's happening. 54 reviews. But I want to go back to what Dawn said. So it's kind of a double standard. So, Dawn, I feel there is a big movement right in America that is called the feminist movement. I'm going to be very, what do you call this, non-biased or non-emotional. Whether you agree with it or not, I would probably say I more don't agree with it, but I think I fell into it. I fell into it. I made the choice and decision, right, that I was always going to produce and provide for myself. And if you read my story, which is my first book, Live Your Truth, this one where I talk about how I overcame cancer holistically, I talk about my unhealthy kind of relationship with money and my paradigm on why I always wanted to produce and provide financially for myself. As I've gotten older and as I've mentored hundreds of men, I would say, what I'm sharing with you is if you would like to attract something like a high value woman, someone who's not wounded, I would say, or is actively working on their wounds, it's very important, I think it's important for everybody at a point in their life to be financially independent. They know how to at least make money or do money. I think it's important for everybody because even if someone dies in the family and you don't know how to do that, there's no like how to, it's very dangerous. But I feel if you would like a high value woman, a high producing woman, it's very important for men to know how to make money and how to produce and sell. Especially when you're talking about family units. There's things that just biology women are better at, and there's things that men are better at. I don't believe in this whole like equal right thing. I don't know. I don't want to get this. I wasn't about that because it's about my podcast. It'd be a whole episode maybe, but the double standard you're talking about, Dawn, would be that I made a choice and decision in my life of what I wanted. But if you were to look at my life, right, I personally have never, I can't say I wouldn't, but the likelihood that I would date someone who has a financial status lower than me or who is not at least like are already in their climb as an entrepreneur would be very unlikely. So why I'm saying that is because I'm giving you the honest opinion of a female, which is why a high value female, which is why a lot of men come here because they want to know the ins and outs of dating, especially how to date an awakened woman, especially how to date a woman who is an entrepreneur, a woman who is self-made, a woman who produces, a woman who's creative, a woman who's highly intuitive, a woman who's in the business of transformation, living her purpose. Majority of the time, I'm not going to say a woman's not going to date a man that's not able to produce or provide or know how to create money. And the reason that happens, right, is biologically when a woman is having children, right, there are the birthing process. There's a recovering period on the woman's body that is not a recovery period on the man's body, right? The man's body, you could say recovery would be once after intimacy. This is going in a way different direction. Intimacy, and there's, I don't even know. There's ejaculation finishing, that, right, causes a drop in testosterone. That would be the recovery period for a man. A woman's body, right, in a similar way would be, the only similar metaphor I could give would be after birth, right? And during that time, it would be challenging to feel like I'm with a man who doesn't know how to produce or provide anything. I wouldn't say that's a double standard. I think that I'm sharing with you, Dawn, what I've chosen in my life because of the life that I was co-created and the life story I chose, which you can read about it and Live Your Truth, was a very much independent style. If you're asking me for coaching and mentorship of a man, I wouldn't recommend that as a man, you don't know how to do those things. So I think that's where that is. So let me know if that lands. Women need to have just as much value as them matter. Yeah, so Dawn, I think you're kind of, I don't know what's happening, but I like this dialogue with you. Right, my purpose in life, right, majority of my clientele, Dawn, is men, right? I have 20% women, 80% men. And the people that are attracted to my work, and I said this, they're the wounded masculine. So women who have produced, like I was, in a hyper-masculine state, hyper-masculine. And then men who are producing in a hyper-masculine state, but your relationships are highly failing, right? They're not working out, you're not happy, you're not emotionally well, you're not emotionally in tune, right? And so I'm saying, as a high-value woman, which is my business, and I'm here to support men in finding the right relationships for them, that this is what I know to be true of what I found out. Whether you want to take it or not, it's up to you, but this is just what I'm saying of what I've seen has worked sustainably over, years or decades. Agree, sisters. See, when I'm dating, I don't judge people like that, but it's just my opinion. I don't look down to people because they make less than me. I didn't say looking down, Dawn. So I never said that I looked down on someone, right? That would be your interpretation if you re-listen to the audio of what I said. Thank you. If you re-listen, hey, Paul, if you re-listen to what I said, Dawn, I never said that I looked down. I said, I personally, because in my belief system, and I think anyone who's an entrepreneur, anyone who's living in their purpose will say this, the more money you're making means the more people you're impacting. And when you're living of your purpose, you're living into your purpose. You're someone who cares about purpose work. You're someone who's like, I want to date someone who believes that they have a purpose. They have a destiny that they're living into. That's a belief that I have, right? And usually if you want to date an awakened woman or you want to date an awakened man, that's like step number one. Do our purposes and do our destinies align together, that when we unify together, we are going to multiply what we believe our purpose is on this planet. And when we multiply, obviously, when you're living in your purpose, when you impact people, you're making more money, because all money is an exchange of energy when you're paying for a solution to your problem, right? I go to the grocery store because, hey, Tim, how are you? We're celebrating 3 years old on the podcast. We're celebrating. And we're getting really deep with Dawn. But anyway, this is the last one, Dawn, because now we're getting into like some real deep coaching shit. But anyway, your money being, which is my change your relationship with money course. So let me put that. So your money is basically an exchange of energy, right? And your exchange of energy, when you go to the grocery store, you're saying, okay, I'm hungry and I need food. So my problem is food. My solution is I'm paying you for food, right? So when someone doesn't have money, in a way, right, what you're saying is I'm not living into my purpose. I'm not solving people's problems, therefore I lack money. Now, there's a whole bigger emotional side of this. I don't believe I'm worthy. I don't believe I have something to offer. There's a whole different psychology piece to this. But so at the level that I'm playing at, right, where I'm at multiple 6 figures, going to multiple 7 figures, I'm getting my PhD. I have my 4th book coming out. We have so many courses. My podcast is in 71 countries. It's in 1,400 cities. We have 10,000 downloads. Like, I'm talking at a very, very global level, the reach and impact I have. I'm not talking about, okay, just met someone off the street and whatever. I'm not saying that they're less than me, but the probability that I'm going to date someone that is not in the same growth mindset is very small to little. So men come to me, right, for coaching and mentorship because they want to understand these principles, because they're principles of how do you become this. So these words like judgment that I'm not using, yeah, so like these words you're using though of like judge or value, like I think you're kind of taking what I'm saying, which is part of the world, and you're interpreting what I'm saying and you're twisting my words to your perception to make something that's not. When you actually hear what I'm saying, it's very logical. It's very not emotional. So I agree with you. Men should provide. You are so beautiful. Thank you. Hello, Sherry. How are you? Good for you. I also feel blessed that as much as you, but I don't need all that. Thanks. It's very enlightening. It's not that you need it. I don't need anything. But the fact that you're here listening means that you have a desire for more in your life, Dawn. The fact that you're engaging and you're interpreting means that there's something in you that resonates with what I'm sharing, and that there's something that you want more in your life of what I'm sharing, because you wouldn't be here listening and you wouldn't be here engaging if not. So probably a good place for you actually to go more into this would be my wisdom channel, which is my monthly membership. It's $33 a month. I highly recommend it for anyone. I'm like obsessed with this thing, you guys, because it's a Telegram channel. I post like my most intimate thoughts there, and it makes me so happy and it makes me so excited. So anyway, I'll put this here as well. That's a really good place to go. We have a great community there that we're building. I just launched it last week, and it's like a Telegram channel. I share my most intimate thoughts, you guys. So if you like what I share here, you feel like I'm really intellectual, you like listening to me, you like what I say resonates with you, and you want to go deeper on it, I highly recommend the Wisdom channel because it's $33 a month. You can cancel anytime, and it's amazing. So anyway, we went a lot longer than I thought today, but I loved the dialogue. I loved the conversation. You guys gave me a lot of ideas of what you need, of what you're searching for, what you're requiring. But yeah, you guys, I'm just so happy. The Colleen Gallagher Podcast, we're 3 years old on March 13th. And if you guys know anything, 13 is a very special number to me because there's 13 chapters in my third book. Ella, who is the fetus that I will be adopting, was incarnated November 13th. So it's kind of ironic this like started the 13th. And my favorite episode on this podcast is episode 13. So if you haven't listened to episode 13, go and listen. It's like my all-time favorite episode. It's like a spoken poetry rap, which is incredible. And I highly recommend. So anyway, I wanted to come on, you guys, and I wanted to celebrate you guys because I couldn't be here without you. I wanted to celebrate each of you who tune in, who listen, who are committed to activating your highest timeline and highest frequency. And I just want you to know that you are so loved and you're so cared for. And I want you to know every time you choose to invest your time into new information, into getting around things that are going to support you to get to that heightened level of success, that's going to support you into having better relationships, that's not going to just support you in making more money, but like doing it from a place of loving the people you're around, enjoying whatever you're doing. Yeah. So I love you. I honor you. I love this conversation, and I can't wait to see you guys in one of my programs or podcasting. I can't wait to know you deeper, and be a support system for you in growing your relationships and growing your connections and growing your intimacy. It makes me just so ecstatic and so thrilled. So with that, make sure to subscribe, the Colleen Gallagher Podcast on Apple Podcast. The link is here, or if you're on Instagram, it's in my bio. The Change Your Relationship with Money course, today is the last day to enroll. So if you are wanting to have a more supportive and enhanced relationship with money, that would be the place for you to learn that. And number 3 is is the Wisdom channel, which is where I share my most intimate content, which is amazing. So I love you guys. I honor you. And I hope you have the most beautiful morning. If you can, please share this, leave a comment, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye.